Right, so here is a demonstration on how to draw eyes. First and foremost, you'll notice that I have my paper divided into 9 equal blocks, or I'm sorry, 12 equal blocks, 3 across and 4 down after I put my grid in. So I've got my grid in here, and then I've taken and making a marker. You can also use a pen for this, but we need to denote that these are separate blocks so you don't get lost. Now, for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to draw this eye right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the line that's made by these lashes. Now, I'm going to put it in very light because ultimately when I put the lashes in there, it's going to kind of erase that line away. So I'm just going to put it in real light here. And in order to locate where this should go, I'm basically looking at how far down in the grid it should go. It's making its way down here. Now, something that we should all notice when we're working on these eyes here is that they are not symmetrical. When you doodle an eye, you've got it the same on both sides. It's very symmetrical, so if you had a division line right down the middle, it would be the same on each side. But if we look at this, we can see it's narrower here. It kind of boxes off there. You know, this is a gradual curve that gets sharper as we go more to the left here. So I'm just going to put that in like this. Now, the opening of the eye comes very close to this line down here. And I'm going to look at the negative space there to make sure that I got that blocked in correctly. And then this is going to come across here. This. And before I start putting in the iris or the colored part of the eye, I'm going to bring in another faint line here where that fold skin is on top of the eyelid here. It's making its way across. And then this comes down like this. I'm also going to make a note of where this interior eyelid is. And I'm going to put in a rough kind of area where the eyebrow is going to be. Not committing to any detail just yet. All right, so at this point, excuse me, I am going to start putting in this colored part of the eye. Now, the temptation here is going to be to do this big circle here. But if you look at it, it's only a half circle. It's disappearing behind eyelid. And it stops quite a bit before you get to the line here. Just like that. And the pupil, the open part of the eye, comes in and is round like this. All right, so now that I've got it basically blocked in, I'm going to start thinking about my values. Now, you notice I haven't put the eyelashes in yet. These are actually going to be the last thing that I do because I want to get all of my shading done. Losing my voice here. I'm going to get all the shading done before I even come in and mess with that. Picking up some dark here in the eye. Obviously, the pupil itself is very dark. Just blocking in these shadows as I kind of see them. Now, this interior lid here is pretty dark. And here in the corner of the eye. And I'm just working with a B pencil, by the way, or you could do this with an HB for the basic shading here. Now, I'm going to start with the eyebrow, just blocking in some value before I come in with my individual hair detail here. Now, if you want to, you can erase away your grid lines before you start shading. As a matter of fact, I probably would advise you to do so. I just left them in place so you all can see, where my points of reference are. We've got some shading in here, some deep shading through the underside of the eye right here. All right, so now I'm going to take my stump, and you could use a Q-tip at home. If you got one of these, that's great. And so I'm just going to blend out some of this shading. Now, it's going to be important for you to realize that you're going to need to work back into this stuff, because the blending stump, while it's great for smoothing things out, will also take some material off the surface. As I get to the edges of these shadows, if I want to, you can kind of squiggle back and forth across them like that. Here. All right, so once you get that kind of rolling here, I'm going to switch over to a 2B now, because I'm going to pull out my really, really deep darks. So I'm going to start with the obvious darkest part, which is this pupil here. And then I'm going to bring in a deeper dark here into the corner. This is just to give it a little bit more pop. Coming in here and reinforcing the darkness underneath the lid there. Let a little bit of shading here. And coming in really, really dark with this ring, because this ring around the colored part of the eye is really, really dark. And now that I've got that kind of blocked in there, I'm going to start putting in some individual hairs on the eyebrow here, and paying close attention to the direction that they go. As I can see, they kind of start to almost come to a point here in the middle, so make sure to change the direction of my stroke. This. And now that I've done that, I'm going to start putting in the eyelashes. Now, the important thing to note here is that the eyelashes don't line up like little soldiers in a row. They're all different, and they come from the underside of the lid and work their way out. So we need to make sure to be putting them in almost like an individual lashes, but then we can also look at like where they clump up. Like as they kind of approach the center of the eye, they change direction a bit and start to go more straight up and down. This. And then they change direction again and start coming more straight down in this part of the eye here. So now I'm going to go to my 4B pencil, which is my darkest one I've got here. And I'm going to just come in here and really, really darken some of this stuff, especially up underneath the lashes as they attach to the eye here. Because basically what the darkness on top of the iris is, you're seeing the reflection of the eyelashes in the eye there. If you guys notice, I haven't really touched my tortillon since I did that initial blend. That's kind of an important thing here. If you overuse your blending stump, it can really get very muddy very quickly if you're not careful. I try to use the side of my pencil when I'm blending with darks over using the blending stump. As you can see, with the addition of the darks, it's starting to all come together. A few little lashes here along this lower lid. Darken this bit in here. Like I'll push the darkness of some of these lashes here. All right, so there you have it.